And we are back once again for another phenomenal tutorial in Maya. Alright, so for this one I've been sort of experimenting with this so-called chord curve method, where I ended up making an EP curve and then attaching a basic cylinder mesh to that curve and then extruding that mesh onto this curve so it could easily follow it. And so this is kind of me messing around afterwards, sort of just playing with some shadows and adding a Mia Material X to the. It almost looks like one of those iPhone charger cords, probably without the glossiness effect to it. But if you were to add maybe like let's say a Lambert material, it would probably go for a little bit more of a realistic look. But at the same time, though, there's always different options you can go with. So anyway, this was pretty easy to make. Not really hard. It's just me, I guess, sort of playing with the tweaks and sort of playing with all the attributes that sort of made this a little longer than it needed to be. But at the same time, I think it was really all worth it. So let's go ahead and sort of create this from scratch. So, so I have the scene created right here, and then I'll just go ahead and delete everything. And there we go. So we'll start off fresh. There we go. Good. All right, so the first thing I did was I ended up going into the top view and then created an EP curve. I'll probably add this to my shelf. There we go. And then ended up just making this really simple curve. What I like about the EB curve is that it allows you to sort of manipulate it as you're creating it on screen. So I don't know, I just kind of went for something really simple, nothing extraordinary. So I don't know, that seems pretty fair, I think so. And then once you're done creating your curve, you can go ahead and manipulate it by clicking right click and control vertex and sort of maybe add some changes to it, like make this a little softer or extend the width of it, whatever you want to do. Same thing with this. You can go ahead and make it, broad, wider. You can make it tighter. I could probably go for something a little bit more wider. And then as far as this wavelength right here, probably make this, I'll leave it as it is. And then for this one, maybe just extend it a little bit more to about right there. So, and maybe same thing for this one as well. Probably just extend this out a bit, or maybe just leave it like that. So anyway, you get the drift. So once we have that set, there's your curve, and we are ready to go. So once you click off of that, we're going to go ahead and make ourselves a cylinder. And just sort of create one from here. Make it about the length of the chord. Or if you want to go, actually it doesn't really matter because we're not even going to be using the chord, the cylinder, or the whole cylinder to begin with. So rotate it 90 degrees on the x-axis, and then you're going to want to line this up with the back end of the chord of the curve here. So let me just see if I can get that. Let me go to my top view. Wrong window. There we go. Top view. And then let's sort of line this up here. About right there. Seems pretty good. And we'll have to go into our side view and sort of see where our curve meets. And then we'll just sort of angle it to about there. Focus, and then go in here, make sure that the cylinder is meeting that end of that curve. So it seems like it's doing it fairly well, so I think I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so once we have that all set up and ready to go, we're going to go ahead into face mode, select the entirety of the cylinder and delete it. But you actually want to keep the top end of it, and you'll see why. So once you have that selected, select all the faces. Or what I can just do is a little easier and just select that. There you go. So once you have that selected, you're going to go ahead and select the curve as well. And then you're going to do an extrude. This is where the magic happens. So go ahead and extrude this face. Now, at first, you're going to get something kind of funky, which is okay. Now, the only downside to doing this method, there is a different way of creating a curve off of a mesh, which is, I guess, attaching this to a motion path and then doing a, whatchamacallit, flow path object. But the problem I was having was it was attaching to the curve, but it wasn't creating the mesh around the curve, and I didn't understand why. So, and I figured, well, I'll just do it the easier way that I know to work, and then I'll just go from there. It just involves one extra step, which is sort of an inconvenience, but at the same time, I'm sure nobody will object to it. So once you have the extrusion method process in place, you're going to go ahead into your attributes, and you're going to go to divisions, and then you're going to want to increase this to about 25 is basically kind of your limit, but you can go up to maybe like, I don't know, 300 or something to get a really nice smooth curve. So now here was the extra step that I mentioned before, which was it sort of combines the two faces from the end of the curve to the beginning of the curve for some reason. So all you need to do is just delete those extra faces and then go ahead and do the same process right here. Just take these faces and delete them, and then embed it into this one as well. So I'll just go ahead and do this. Yes, it's an inconvenience, but at the same time, it's a proven method that will surely give you a decent result at the end. So I guess in the long run, it's worth it, I think. So, but if anyone else has a solution to that motion path problem that I was having a while ago, let me know in the comments section. So let me just delete all these faces. And there you go. So now we have ourselves a curve. A really nice looking one too. So let me just go ahead, central pivot, move this over, and then there you can see from the top view of it, it matches our curve pretty decent, pretty well, and it definitely can be adjusted in any way. You may have this have less divisions or quadruple the divisions. It's all up to you. The more, the smoother. The less, the rougher. So, okay, so now we can go ahead and just delete this curve. Oops. And delete that. I don't know. For some reason, it's attached to the face. I guess what we'll do for now is just duplicate it, and then we'll just delete the curve. So I don't know. It's sort of weird, but I guess I'll have to fix that later. All right. So for this curve, I guess what we can do is sort of close this gap up, fill hole. And then we'll take this face, and then if you look at the end of let's say an iPhone charger, you can see that there is an extrusion of before it meets that one piece where you plug it into the USB port. So what you can do is extrude this face and sort of bring it out this far out, and then do another extrusion and then bring it out like here, and then that's what you get for that upper extension. So pretty cool stuff, so I gotta say. Alright, and then as far as everything else, I just went ahead and added a cool Mia Material X shader on it, and then played around with some of the settings as far as adding some shadows and then adding some other miscellaneous objects in the scene. So, but this is pretty much it as far as how to create a chord like mesh in Maya. So I don't think I really need to go any farther than this. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed,